Welcome back, my friends and family. Welcome to the West Best Media. Today, we're going to talk about Julius Malema versus the ANC, the firebrand they couldn't silence. South Africa, the land that gave us Nelson Mandela, a land of liberation and struggle, a land still chained by inequality, corruption. But here's one figure who refused to bow: Julius Malema. Once the star of the ANC Youth League, then expelled, dragged through the courts, mocked by the establishment, and written off as finished. Yet here we are in 2025. Mandela, Malema is still standing strong, louder, sharper, and more dangerous to the ruling elites than ever. This is the story of a firebrand they couldn't silent or they cannot silence. And before we get into it, make sure you hit the subscribe button right now and share this video, because here we get to the truth without sugarcoating. Malema's story inside the ANC reads like a Shakespeare play. In, in 2020, he was the Kingmaker. He rallied the ANC Youth League behind Jacob Zuma, helping Zuma to topple Thabo Mbeki and become president. Malema was brash, fiery, and unafraid. He called himself the loyal son of ANC, the defender of the revolution. But once Zuma get into power, Malema saw what many South Africans saw: corruption, betrayal, and enrichment, a few at the expense of the poor. Malema turned his fire on Zuma, and that made him dangerous. By 2012, the ANC expelled him. They thought that was the end. They thought they had buried him, but they didn't understand that Malema thrives in fire. Out of exile, he built the EFF, the freedom, the economic freedom fighters, a radical movement to speak to the youth, to the workers, to the forgotten millions. And here is the part many forget. Malema was trained and guided by and molded by Winnie Mandela. While the ANC elite sidelined Winnie Mandela, Malema sat with her, learned from her, absorbed her defiance. He once said, Winnie Mandela taught us not to fear. She taught us to liberate our people. You must be ready to confront the system no matter the cost. At her funeral in 2018, Malema stood before the ANC establishment and told them exactly what the people felt: that they betrayed her. They betrayed the revolution. That moment symbolized something deeper: the passing of the torch. Malema carried Winnie fire, and that's why he cannot be controlled. If you respect leaders who don't bow to the system, hit the like button now and drop a comment. Let's hear their voice. Now let's talk about the so-called gun case. At a stadium in 2018, the Manstanga Stadium, Malema was on stage. A gun is in his hand, shot fired in the air. 7 years later, the state finally convicted him. Unlawful possession of firearm, unlawful possession of ammunition, and reckless discharge and endangerment. On paper, it sounds clear, but let's look closer. The prosecution called 19 witnesses, yet not one single person from that 30,000 in the crowd came forward to say they saw bullet flies. Instead, the big piece of evidence was a spent cartridge found 2 days later in the stadium, an open venue, unsecured, where anyone could walk. That cartridge was magically linked to the rifle from the security company tied to Malema's bodyguard. Ask yourself this question. Does that sound airtight to you? Or does that sound like weak evidence stretched or sketched to fit a political goal? And here's the kicker. No one was hurt. No one was injured. Malema's so-called crime harmed nobody. Now let's compare to Senkala. A protester, a protest turned violent. Video footage shows white men beating black protesters, people injured. What happened? They got suspended sentences. They walk. Malema fired a gun in the air. No one injured. He get convicted. White men beat black protesters, visible on tape. They get a slap on the wrist. That's the South Africa system in 2025. Two sets of rule. One for those who challenge power and the other for those who protect it. And if you're tired of double standard, subscribe now because this is where we call it like it is. And here's what really happened. What really frightens the ANC. The more they try to silence Julius Malema, the bigger his base grow. The EFF has built a foundation on the youth, the workers, the landless. They see the ANC for what it is, has and what it has become. A party of businessmen, elites, protecting their own wealth while the majority struggle. Malema rhetoric is radical. Exploitation exploitation without compensation, nationalize of mine and bank, and a break from Western economy stranglehold to the poor and to the young. It's not radical, it is survival. And yes, he had betrayal, even inside the EFF. Excuse me. Fly Chibumbu, once his deputy and closest ally, left for Zuma, the MK party. Within months, Fly was pushed out of the MK, and now he's scrambling to form his own outfit to try to weaken the EFF. But here's the truth. Every time someone leaves to attack Malema, they end up weaker, not stronger. Malema is still here. Malema is still facing the radical opposition. He challenge, his challenges are fading. His movement endured. That's why the ANC fears him, because fearlessness is contagious. And in a country where millions are still waiting to be free or for freedom, promise of a fearless leader is dangerous to establishment. So let's look at it and let's be real. The ANC expelled him. The court convicted him. His closest ally betrayed him. But the people, they still listened. And the question, and here's the question for Ramaphosa and the ANC. Don't, here's the question Ramaphosa and the ANC don't want to ask. What happened when Julius Malema isn't just surviving, but deciding what happened when he becomes the power broker of South Africa? That's their fear. That's what we uncover in part two. Excuse me. Hit subscribe, share this episode, and drop a comment below, because the real fear isn't the gun case. The real fear is what comes next. This is the West Best Media. Straight talk, no sugarcoating. Africa is watching. African will stand up. Peace. See you in episode 2.